And we should be live.
Hello, people.
Hello.
You're probably gonna hear barking dogs in the background. Anyway.
I did hear that, actually.
Guys, we're back. How long were we off now? Is this our? We were gone two consecutive weeks, right?
Well, I know for me this is probably 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because Paul, I am apropos, came on to fill in for you. All right, guys, it's Tech Talk number 55. We got a few topics here. We're gonna beat this horse to death. The iPhone 6
saw that.
and 6 Plus bending.
Bandgate.
Microsoft decides to skip Windows 9, following suit with NVIDIA, going straight to 10. Microsoft buys Minecraft for $2.5 billion. I know we had heard rumors about 2, but 2.5.
2.5, but I've heard like 1.8 also. I don't know what the official number is.
And then Lamborghini reveals a new hybrid concept. We'll see if we can get an interview with Linus and see how he likes his. All right, guys, it's Tech Talk number 55. We'll go ahead and roll that intro. Normally we make people sing during this loop, but I didn't give you fair warning.
Okay.
You can sing the outro.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land.
You know what's funny is I probably know more words to the Canadian national anthem than I do the American national anthem. No, your last name, are you French Canadian?
I guess by technicality, but I don't speak French.
You know what's funny is my dad was giving me shit because I was always teasing Canadians. My dad, he told me after one show because he watches, he goes, you're half French Canadian, right? I'm like, yeah, but I don't have to like mention that.
Yeah, you're French Canadian to me too. You don't see me walking around like rubbing.
I'm also half German.
Yeah, that's
so
my other half
like
too.
That weird mix going on. Yeah.
Scheiße. Hey, so why don't I see the feed? We're streaming on YouTube, right? Or
Yeah.
are we on Twitch?
It's going. I'm watching it right now. It's just a minute.
For some reason the link's not on your page, on your
40.
YouTube page. There's no.
I
link
actually
to it.
don't see it either. So
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you doing, Jay?
I didn't do it.
Dude, you fail at the internet.
You fail at the entire internet.
You fail
Probably.
at HTTP, sir.
You're probably
Oh, wow.
right. All right.
That's weird. I've never seen that before. We're actually streaming, yet it's not on there.
Try it now.
I are confused. Okay, here I'm
doing it now.
reloading.
Well, this is what happens.
There it
when
is.
you-
Yes, I
This
see
is what
it.
happens when you take time off. You're just like, I don't know what the hell's happening here. All right, guys.
Sees it.
If you guys don't know who that pretty face up there is, Jerry, and then the ugly one is Luke.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't aware, so Luke from
The
LinusTechTips.
extremely unattractive one.
Dude, he's like a massive man bear, though. When I met him in person, I was like, oh my god. I was like looking up at the obelisk, like, oh.
It's like Halo theme.
Does Linus like sit on like phone books and stuff when he's next to you on the WAN show? Like,
For
oh
certain
my God.
things, like what was it, Mod 24, we had his chair further closer to the camera, and mine was further down as well. So his was up and closer to the camera, mine was down and further from the
Oh,
camera.
that is so
Does it-
awesome.
I thought I've heard before that he like stands on something every now and then when he's doing
Yeah,
a video.
they're called Apple boxes. They're not actually Apple boxes, but they're like these little. There's either the like thin wooden support, or they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and depending on how it's shot, he'll stand on those. So like if we're doing a shot in the same location, we'll have an Apple box, and I'll either straddle it on each end, or we'll just move it for when I'm shooting. Then when he comes in, we'll put the Apple box down. And he stands on top of that.
That's just to make it easier on the cameraman, right? It's not
Yeah,
really like
it looks better
yeah.
because the framing's the same.
When you
they
said
do it in
it-
nudes.
Just pictured iPad boxes stacked up because like he's not heavy enough to crush them in. So like
No,
you could
it's-
actually legitimately use those.
Yeah, they were originally actually boxes for apples that you would eat, not like Apple products. But they do it in news as well.
Now you
Anchors
get-
will have their seats at different heights.
I just want to point out real quick, you guys might see like the video feed flicker on their end a little bit. I don't know what's up with Skype, so just deal with it.
It's just what Skype does.
It's just but you know, Skype has a new streaming feature coming out. Not streaming feature, but hardware. Actually, it's hardware accelerated feed, so you could take video feeds and actually pipe it into different streams using a piece of hardware that's supposed to have like Luke would have his own video feed, you'd have your own video feed, and I can pipe them in independently through like a little box that you connect to your computer. So, yeah, I want to look more into that, especially
If it works, I'm totally game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the thing is, I could also take my video feed and pipe it back to you through this box, and then you could pick up my video feed. So if we were dual streaming, it wouldn't be like capturing back and forth like this stupid screen capture for Skype. Because Skype has integrated, pull the video feed from Skype and enter it into XSplit, but you can't do it with two because it'll stack them on top of each other, and then it's all.
And
messed
even
up.
with one, a lot of times you can't really define the region and stuff, and it's kind of janky.
Yeah. So like right now when I'm capping you guys, I just kind of had to grab a screen region that was sort of like 16 by 9 and hope it was the right Anyway. All right.
Do I actually sound all right now, guys, or do I still sound bad? I'm having a hard time telling. This is like how I've sounded for like the last 24 hours.
You sound like you look. Don't worry.
What?
Jerry doesn't know what to make of
What? I don't have a mirror.
All right, as long as you guys can understand what I'm saying, because every once in a while I do that little puberty squeak when I talk too loud.
I hear this thing.
Where it's like,
I think you're fine.
That was like after CES, because I had pneumonia at CES. It's like I couldn't do videos for 2 weeks.
I learned a valuable lesson, guys. If you ever lose your voice, don't the very next day yell and scream as loud as you possibly can. That's like, it's bad.
What do they say at the gym? No pain, no gain. Walk it off, right? Walk it off, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my vocal cords don't have legs there, big guy.
What did we start calling that? Your throat vagina?
My throat vagina. Okay, hold on. You got to give them some context, though. We were talking about it, and you were talking about how they're just muscles, and then I equated it to vagina lips, and then we were like, okay, this is so wrong.
The Skype conversations, Jerry and Jay.
My throat vagina is highly stressed.
The Skype conversations that take place behind the scenes between Jerry and I. My God.
I think your bounce back takes a lot longer, though, for vocal cords.
Yeah, I think so too. It feels like Ron Jeremy.
Stretch bounce back? Yeah.
And it damaged it irreparably.
You got pretty penetrated. I guess we should.
Moving on.
This is typical Barnacles, right? Just derail the hell out of everything off into Wonderland. All right, take it away, guys.
Talking about derailing things, let's go back like 8 years and talk about bending iPhones.
Yeah, well, it's been mentioned quite a bit. So Jerry put this in there. I haven't touched it like personally, but I do have an iPhone 6, so I can talk from that perspective. But so we all know Lou over at Unbox Therapy. Awesome guy. He got wind of the complaints and he did a video. 50 million views in a few days, dude. That's now he could go buy the Lambo we're going to talk about with that video. But anyway.
Oh yeah.
So now he's like trying to bend every phone in the market. That's what's great about this. He's just like, fuck it, I'm going to bend everything. So the iPhone 6 Plus, you know what I find interesting is it's not that much bigger than the 6, but apparently structurally it's quite a bit different. Because he tried to bend the 6 and he couldn't bend it. Not the same way he could the 6 Plus.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess the phone looks nice. It's sleek. It's thin, but I started getting worried. I'm like, well, crap. I had my last phone for 2 years. Is this one going to make it 2 years?
I don't understand how this wasn't caught in testing, though, because like usually testing devices like this, they have things that are putting pressure on the center of the screen because they know people are going to sit on these things and stuff. So
well, they do.
I don't get how this made it through testing. Like, even if it takes a decent amount of effort to bend it, you'd think that their machine would have simulated like the worst case scenario.
Apple put out a video, actually. Well, okay. Apple allowed a couple of media people into like one of the testing stations over at Foxconn, and they have, you know, those hydraulic presses that'll push on the phone up to a certain pressure that's deemed, you know, rated, or the correct rating for a mobile device. And they're like, look, it doesn't bend. But the thing was moving like 4 millimeters, right? They weren't pushing it enough to actually make the metal, you know, structurally change.
Yeah, my ass is rounder than the average ass. So when I sit on it, you know, it tends to bend things a little bit more. I don't know whose ass they were trying to simulate with that, but it wasn't mine.
Well, they are, you know, Foxconn is over in Shenzhen, so they're not exactly doing the America test, if you ask me.
They're not doing the America test.
They should do more testing than that, though, because even if you ignore that weight, like, what if someone's in a dorm and they put their stuff on the table and then they drop their bag full of really heavy textbooks on top of it and it torques the phone a little bit? It should honestly be able to survive through that. And with this type of force, just putting a couple heavy books on it actually could potentially cause a permanent crease.
Well, I think Lou had even said that when he took his phone out and looked at it, he noticed, like, when people started mentioning the bend issue. But he had noticed, like, oh, damn, there is a little bit of warping there.
Yeah. And you're going to notice it, though, when you set it on a flat surface and it starts teeter-tottering and stuff. Like,
it's going to teeter.
Even a slight one you're going to notice after a while.
It's going to teeter-totter anyway because of the protruding camera.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's true. That thing wouldn't lay flat. I heard about people breaking the lens on the camera, too. I guess that's a deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never run my phone without a case, so these kinds of things I probably wouldn't have noticed. But
this is what happens when Steve Jobs dies. Everybody, like, seriously, if he was here, the thing would have been made out of like adamantium or some kind of hybrid metal that's never before been seen.
Let's be honest.
But no, he dies now. Aluminum's it.
Let's be honest. If Steve Jobs was still here, they would still be a 3.7 inch screen or 5 inch screen or whatever it was. He was all about the small screen.
That's true. It'd probably still be a small screen, and then America would be mad.
But their
Right.
company would be doing better.
You know, you say that there were claims of the iPhone 5S bending as well. You know, I've got one or a 5, same structure. I not using it. I said, hell, I'll try and bend this. I just took it out in the office. I couldn't bend it.
No, I couldn't bend mine either because I tried to. I was like, screw it. I got a 1+1 now, and I got to the point where I was sure it was gonna like shatter, and I was like, nah, I don't want to do that because I want to like sell it because I'm poor now.
You know, I would have to assume that the squared chamfered edges, as they call it, give a little bit more structural integrity to the phone because it's bending because of the rounded edges and the weak point at the buttons.
Yeah, and plus it looks and feels almost like it was cut from like it almost looks like billet, you know, like really strong billet aluminum, not like it was like a bunch of pop cans melted and poured into a jig.
So that's how they came across the manufacturing issues they had with the 5S. They're just recycling tin cans.
They're literally just melting like Pepsi and Coke cans into the thing and like straining the color off the top. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
What phone are you using, Luke? What's your daily driver?
Right now, my daily driver is a Moto X, but I'll be changing or upgrading fairly soon, actually. But yeah, my Moto X.
Oh, the original Moto X?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think the new Moto X passed like Lou's test with flying colors. He called it the most sturdy phone in the whole lineup. But
I'm interested in the new one. The only thing I worry about with the new one is I want more extensive battery tests to be done. Once more extensive battery tests are done, I might move to the new one. I will be moving fairly soon. My contract is up. So
wasn't Motorola kind of leading the pack for a long time though on Android battery life?
They were leading the pack, and then not so much. This Moto X doesn't exactly have a huge amount of battery life. That being said, even with the notification screen, I always have enabled, so my screen is always partially on because I'm getting whatever messages from wherever. I can still usually at least last a day. It'll be pretty close to dead at the end of the day, but as long as I charge it overnight, which is a ritual for me now, then it's fine.
I will say this, and I don't know how much of it was just battery degradation over 2 years of my iPhone 5, but my 6 is lasting incredibly long compared to the 5. I mean, by the end of the day with the 5, I would have maybe 20%, 15%. I'm sitting at like 50, 60%. Same usage on this phone.
Battery degradation is a really big deal, and that's one reason why you need to see benchmarks against phones that are both new. If someone's benchmarking a phone that they've been using as their daily driver against a brand new phone, of course it's going to get crushed, even if the brand new phone isn't as good at managing its battery as the old one because of just standard battery degradation, which happens to pretty much everything.
It also depends, too, on how often you calibrate your batteries. I mean, there is that calibration process you're supposed to do. And, like, for instance, my wife uses a MacBook Pro as her regular laptop, and her battery is only holding maybe 20% charge now versus, you know, over the 5-year-old. It's 2009, so it's 5 years old. And I tried calibrating it. We couldn't get it back. But I figured 5-year battery life on that laptop battery was a lot better than any PC battery I've ever owned.
Dude, my battery sucks in this 5S. I mean, seriously, I can't even go. Even with Bluetooth off, I'm lucky if I can get 12 hours out of this thing before the battery's in the red. Like, it's that bad. So I carry around a portable battery pack to keep recharging it throughout the day.
I would assume, though, Jerry, you're a pretty heavy user, and that's not.
I am. All the push notifications and social stuff really pushes the battery hard, but still, no Bluetooth. I mean, come on,
Jerry. I can't even imagine how your battery would stand a chance considering notifications on social media your size. I mean, like, I've turned mine off a long time ago because my screen was never turning off. So
what are you talking about, Jay? Nobody talks to me.
Yeah.
Nobody ever says anything to me on social networks.
It's not too surprising when he doesn't even know my handle, so.
Well, Jerry,
I didn't know you dropped that. Why did you drop it?
I tweeted you with the new one multiple
the Slick
times.
PC. Yeah.
I know, but still, I got to.
You didn't know my name.
What? Slick?
I had to do the head bounce thing. I'm sorry.
Jerry, it even says right on Slick PC he's not using this anymore.
I know this. I clicked it and I found it out, but I've got it ingrained in my head from like the first time we talked. I can't stop typing it. My fingers remember things, guys. They remember things.
All right. Well,
now you guys gotta gang up on me. My throat vagina doesn't work today, and now you guys are ganging up on me. Inappropriate tech talk is inappropriate. I love it.
This is,
I'm allowed to say whatever. I don't know.
This is pretty tame. Do I have to remind everybody of the making Jerry blow Jerry episode that we had?
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Or the one where we did the going back and forth on the Vine.
Oh, but that was in the early days. We didn't have anyone to piss off back then.
That was so classic. Yeah, guys, if you ever want to see how crazy we were back in the day, just search for it. It's out there. Oh my god.
It was hilarious though. It was like one of those vines that snowballed into something intense and really
Literally
just
kept going back and creating another vine from the previous vine, and like somehow in the end Jay was like videotaping me masturbating. Something. I don't know how it escalated to that. Like, how did it start out? Like I thought I pretended I shot myself and fell on the desk, and by the end it was like,
no. Look at Luke backing away from the computer.
Oh my god.
You pretended to kill me. Remember, you took out your airsoft gun.
That's right, the airsoft gun. Yep.
And then I put my head down on the desk, and then you I don't know, made some sexy look, and then I pulled out my gun, you pulled out your gun, then I pulled out the camera, and then you were like, oh, here's what you're recording, and you were making some inappropriate gestures, and then you guys edited in a big ass smile on my face afterwards.
Oh my god.
It was terrible. It's still up there though. I see someone like it every now and then.
Priceless, dude. Priceless.
So okay, let's go ahead and talk about a couple Microsoft topics since the gloves are off on your end now.
Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, my NDA is still in effect,
yes.
but
you can't break NDA, but you're not worried about not receiving their check anymore.
Right. My final payments have cleared, and I am now done.
So
yes.
So go ahead and take it away. Windows 9, skipping 9, going to 10. I did watch some of the keynote, but not all of it. So you go ahead and take that one.
All right, so the Windows 9 skipping to 10, there's a couple of people out there. Well, Microsoft's official story is they're like, oh, it's so different and revolutionary that like we don't even want to call it Windows 9. We want to like just skip a generation and call it 10.
If I'm super awesome, can I just go from like say you think you're super cool? Can you just go from like 14 straight to 18 because you think you're just that awesome? Is that how that works?
No. Only if your company starts with M.
Oh, okay.
And ends with soft. That's the only way that you can. Because the whole point of versioning. Yeah, this is what I don't get though. Is the whole point of versioning is you have a major version, you have a minor version, and then you basically have your development versioning after that. And this is the same for all companies. You know, everybody follows this. Even Apple follows this. This is what versioning is. The fact that they're skipping an entire major version breaks the whole point of it, because the whole point is you're supposed to have lineage of a product, even products that don't ship. So let's say Windows 9 didn't ship. They decide they're not going to ship it. Well, there would still be a Windows version 9. They're saying no. They're just going to go straight from 8.1. Boom, they're 10. Done. Just
no, yeah, and I, working in software myself, that doesn't work that way. It's still legitimately 9. Even if it was 9.246.1064325, how granular are you going to get on that dev build? It's still 9.
Exactly. And if you look, like if you open up WinVer, I mean, you can see all the different version numbers that they use. Actually, they don't show it in Windows Ver. You'd have to look in the registry. In the registry for the versioning, you have the major, the minor, and then you basically have the date that's encoded, and then you even have a timestamp. So the versioning is like literally down to the minute. So if they built a build every second, they would have different versions.
And that's when that build was checked. That code was checked in, right? The final source code.
Yep. So they decided that I guess Windows 9 is off the table. Now, a lot of people had some speculation as to why they would skip 9 legitimately. And that's because a lot of lazy developers out there will do versioning checks on their software to basically say, I can't run on this version of Windows. And they'll legitimately put, if you're 9X, basically anything, 9 and any character don't run because they're assuming you're running Windows 98 or Windows 95. But the thing is there's already a shimming mechanism in the product to deal with those different products. It's just a matter of Microsoft releasing one little shim, and it basically just lies to the software and tells it what it wants to hear so that it'll run. Yeah. And that's been in there forever. So there's no reason why Microsoft would skip a version just to avoid that. Unless every single piece of software was doing it. But let's be honest, how many people are still running software that even existed on Windows 95?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, nobody's running those versions. So
it's all about Windows 10 sounding better than Windows 9. I mean, it's all about perception.
OS 10, Windows 10. You got Xbox One. Now you've got a version that's got a 0 in it. I mean, there's all kinds of speculation as to why they would do it. But I think it's almost like they just wanted a round number to like kick off the new generation. And everybody's like, why didn't they just call it Windows 1? Like, why isn't the marketing at Windows? Because you got Xbox One, why don't you have Windows One? And everybody's like, well, technically there was already a Windows One that Bill Gates developed like early on in his career. But the thing is that was never a recognized product, and plus you could do one like with the Xbox where you spell it out and it's not a numeral. Yeah. And then they could have kept the version 9 and just called it Windows 1.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can think of is that they're still making some random bets on stuff, and they want to see if it sticks before they use that up. Because once you call it Windows 1, I mean, where do you go from there? We'll see, though.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm wondering what's entirely different enough for them to base it on being a whole new version. I'm sure it's still going to be on the same shell, right?
This is what pisses me off, is that literally all the shit that people complained about in the Windows 8 beta is coming back and they're calling it new. Like,
Yeah.
so you got a start menu. Now, granted, the start
Right.
menu is a little bit of a hybrid, but there's already several hybrid solutions out there that other companies have made. Like Stardock Start 8 has a mode you can put it in where it's kind of a hybrid.
Right.
Classic Start, I think, even has a hybrid mode.
Because that's really all they focused on, wasn't it? Kind of like the live tiles built into the start menu.
Yeah, and then the other feature they had is now you can run modern apps on the desktop in a window, but Stardock already did that with Modern Mix like 2 seconds after the beta came out. And then the other feature was you can have multiple desktops. Well, I don't know if you guys remember way back when, but Windows used to have virtual desktops in it. It got pulled out because it was an unused feature. Well, now they're bringing it back because apparently with, today's computer usage, it makes sense. And I'll be honest, I'm glad it's coming back because I like. But how many? Here, I'll even ask Luke. Luke could even know this. How many aftermarket software solutions have you seen to create virtual desktops?
I was actually just going to say that you've been able to do that for a very long time.
They're everywhere.
Thing that's cool, not necessarily virtual desktops, because people that actually thought of and wanted that would just go get it themselves. But changing the start menu and stuff will matter more for people that aren't necessarily us. We will go and download Stardock or Start Menu Classic or whatever the heck we want and modify it, but my mom is not going to. And when my mom uses Windows 8, she gets confused as shit, and she can't do anything properly. And if you bring back a more
Perillo video.
yeah, and if you bring back a more standard start menu, she's going to like that a lot more, and more people will adopt Windows. I almost just said 9, Windows 10, because it's just easier to move from Windows 7 and previous to Windows 10.
We should just call it Windows 9.10.
9.10. I like it. No, the thing is I've from what I've read so far, it's been really well accepted, and people are even saying that it's actually not that buggy at all. But the thing that you got to realize is this is basically the threshold build. This is what Windows 9 was supposed to. Well, not even Windows 9. This is supposed to be the intermediate release to Windows 9. So it's already had tons of testing. It's already got. I mean, this is the last properly tested Microsoft operating system. I mean, that's coming out using basically the old guard's way of testing.
Yeah.
And so I would expect it to be rock stable. The damn thing should be a complete rock. And the features that they added aren't particularly complex features. The OS already supported it the whole time. I mean, the start button coming back, I mean, that was a no-brainer. That code was already there.
I know they've always done release clients of the previous, versions and stuff, but it seems like on this one here, they're legitimately going to just be doing automatic bug logging and letting the public do the work for them.
No, I literally think you're going to start seeing daily builds. I think the idea is to basically treat it like how you test an open source project, but without releasing the source code.
Right.
Literally, they're going to get early adopters. Now, this may work because, Apple releases the SDK releases of their operating system fairly frequently to the software developers, and they seem to hammer out a lot of their issues. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So it's yet to be seen if this is going to be successful or not. But it's definitely a huge change. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. But the thing that really freaks me out is Apple's notorious for like recycling features. And Luke, you probably know this too, where every time they come out, they're like, "Oh, the new OS has 300 features, and 295 of them are just features they don't talk about or people haven't discovered that were in every other product they ever made." Yeah. And I feel like Microsoft's kind of doing the same thing now, because it's like, going back to the virtual desktops. Now, for the people that don't know, virtual desktops are, you basically create one desktop, has custom wallpaper if you want, you put a bunch of windows on it, and then you shift to another desktop, and it's a completely new desktop as if it was being hosted on another monitor, except you're just flipping through them on one screen. Well, the funny thing is Windows fundamentally already supports this. If you go look at the SDK for Windows, that's the software development kit, there's something called a Windows Station. And the concept of a Windows Station is it encompasses a GUI that represents one desktop. That's already built into the operating system. That's why you see so much software out there that lets you have virtual desktops, because all that software is literally doing is making very simple calls to say, change the Windows Station, change the Windows Station. Now you can have as many as you want because the core OS already supports it. They just never had a front end for it. They took it out a long time ago because nobody was using it.
And I don't know. It makes a ton of sense. Linux has been doing this for a long time. I actually know people that switched to Linux because they didn't realize that they could actually download additional software to be able to do that in Windows, because they wanted multiple desktops. They wanted this is my work and this is my play. So over here on my play screen, I have Facebook and Twitter and games and all that junk. And then on my workstation, I just have work. That's a really good way to work. And being able to manage that with multiple monitors at the same time is pretty cool, because normally with multiple monitors, you can be like, I'm going to put Facebook and things I don't want to pay attention to over here, except they're still going to be in the side of my vision, and I'm still going to pay attention to them. So it's cool to be able to actually switch to dedicated desktops. So I'm not surprised they brought it back, but I am a little bit surprised that they're toting it so heavily.
Exactly. That's my point. Is I think it's a good feature. I think it never should have been pulled out. I think the main reason they pulled it out was because of customer confusion. I think people were inadvertently switching desktops back when it was a legitimate feature. And they're like, where'd all my shit go? I mean, if you don't understand how the feature works or implement it well, people are going to get confused by it.
Yeah.
And then in that case, even if it's a perfectly functioning thing, if it generates a lot of noise, you don't want it in there. So they just disable it. There's same thing with the start menu. I mean, the start menu was literally pulled out. I mean, they just literally disabled it. It just went away. It's not like they had to re-engineer the operating system to not have a start menu. They just literally took it out. You saw how easy Stardock put it back, and Classic Start and all those guys. It's not like it was a technical marvel or feat of architecture and engineering to pull that out. It wasn't. They were just like, people aren't going to use the Metro interface if there's a start menu. So let's just kill it. Let's just take it out. And then everybody will be forced to use the new UI, and eventually everybody will acclimate to it. Because if you guys remember when Windows 95 came out, I remember so many people were bitching about the start button. Yep. Oh my God, they were like, Windows 3.1, I like the way that I just had all my icons sitting on the desktop and stuff. I think it's stupid to have this button down here that opens this menu. And everybody got addicted to it. I think Microsoft was hoping for a repeat of that. And it just didn't happen for desktop users.
But look how far we got used to that start button for Windows 95 all the way up through, to what, last year.
Dude, it was crack. We literally got like addicted to it. Like start was where everybody,
you could do everything.
Windows key and the start button. That was all you used to do everything. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, I like a very clean desktop. In fact, it wasn't until I started doing a lot of stuff with this system for the channel that I have more stuff on my desktop. For the most part, I had a perfectly clean desktop with no icons.
I hide desktop icons. I don't even show recycling bin. I just right-click, view, hide.
Actually, I got a question for Luke. So, Luke, have you ever... Well, this is a dumb question. Of course you have. You've worked on friends and family's computers, right?
Yeah.
So do you ever turn them on and they have like 400,000 icons on the desktop, and your first thought is just you back away and take a breath? You're just like, what the fuck? This is wrong.
I've done remote IT. I've done IT in shops. I've done like location to location IT. I've done a bunch of different stuff. So yes, I've dealt with that. The scariest thing is still toolbars. But yes, desktops do get me sometimes. My mom's like that. She'll just dump everything on the desktop, and that's like her main folder structure. Yeah. She doesn't really have like photos. She has like the photos corner. And
I got a funny story about that real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
So I work in software and IT as well for my company, and I got this support ticket that came in, and it was just in our main office, someone said, I can't open new tabs, or I have no start menu or no toolbar or anything in my Mozilla. I'm like, okay, so I don't know how she did it, but she had somehow turned her icon for Mozilla to a pop-up that she had somehow bookmarked. And some pop-ups have the toolbar disabled.
Yeah.
That had become her launch icon for Mozilla.
That's fantastic.
So she was like freaking out because all of a sudden she couldn't navigate. She had no toolbar. She had no tabs, nothing.
The best one was my mom, back when she was alive. Rest in peace, Mom. But she'd go to these sites where you could play free games because she loved playing like bingo and stuff like that. So she'd go to these sites, and every single one of them would install like 20 malware toolbars.
Congratulations, you're the 1 millionth visitor. Click now to get your prize.
I'm not even exaggerating a little bit. Over 50% of the screen was consumed by toolbars.
Oh, yeah.
And I opened it up and I thought it was a joke. And I was like, hey, Mom, I think you got a virus. I was like, how do you even see the web pages? And she literally grabs the window and drags it to the top of the screen and starts hitting the arrow key to move all the toolbars off so she could drag the bottom down and see the web page.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh no.
Dad, I love you to death. I know you're watching. He's a software developer. He's got me my start.
I love your dad. Your dad's awesome.
But my dad is the king of I need 16 registry cleaners, 46 sweepers, all going at the same time, conflicting with each other.
Yeah, just with the antivirus, just pick one, folks, okay? Because whenever you install the antivirus program, it involves something called a filter driver. And a filter driver is like a fake little driver that sits between your drivers that talk to your hardware, like your hard drives and stuff, and your operating system. So every single time you install another one of these, you get another filter driver on top of another on top of another. And pretty soon to open your file, it's got to go through like 20 different drivers to get to where it's going. And then you're like, why is my computer so slow and always pegged at 100%?
Yeah. It's funny. I hear all the time from my mom, my computer was fine till your father got on it. I love you, Dad.
Remember the old antivirus programs? They used to actually warn you and shit. Like, you start up and it'd be like, you have 75 other programs on here. Do you want me to uninstall them? And now they can't do that because of like liability issues and stuff. Like, they're considered a monopoly or whatever if they do that. Now all they can do is give you some kind of notice that's like, oh, you've already got some other shit running. Go figure it out and then come back when you're done. And then people are like, I don't know how to remove whatever random antivirus is on my computer from Best Buy and Geek Squad. I mean, I don't.
Sometimes it's hard. Like, I know, I can't even remember the name of it. It's been a while since I've been in IT. Norton. Wow, can't believe I couldn't remember that. But you used to have to use the Norton removal tool because just uninstalling it normally didn't even completely clear it out. It's like, why is this possibly a thing? And who's going to know to go look for that?
Yeah,
that was
don't
like
ever
half my
trust,
job for a while.
Don't trust Install Shield, guys. Install Shield is like the worst thing ever made in the history, man. Like I actually used to create installers for my applications that I created for Microsoft because they made them easier to deploy, right? It's a lot easier than saying, hey, go add these 50 registry keys and run this executable. You know, so you'd create an MSI package to do your install, and I will tell you what, literally, it only knows what you tell it. So if you're a shitty-ass software developer and you tell it to create 75 registry keys and you don't do it exactly the way that it's supposed to know how to do it, like you go create a batch file to do it or something like that, the install shield has no recollection of it and doesn't know how to take it off. So when you say uninstall half your programs, half the registry keys aren't being removed. Shit, half of them probably the services aren't even being removed.
I'm seeing a lot of people in chat saying things like, you know, I know so many old people with lots of toolbars, or their grandma or their dad. I think that more or less is just their legitimate ignorance to the way this software will be. Check this if you don't want this installed, and they bundle it with so many downloads. They just get bombarded with these, and they don't even know where they're coming from.
It's true, but in my mom's defense, she did have 3 toolbars that she said I couldn't uninstall when I did the sweep. Because she's like, no, I need that one for my bingo. No, I need that one to find my other friends that are playing the malware games.
I accidentally got one the other day that I legitimately had a hard time removing. It's called Search Protect. And I don't know how it got on there. I don't know what it came down with. I think I was downloading something for one of my benchmarks, and I got it on, and I could not get the thing to uninstall. I had to manually find trace all the files in registry and manually remove it. It would not. In fact, Windows Uninstaller was like, no, we can't uninstall this. I'm like, okay. This thing was incredibly invasive.
A little bit off topic, but my favorite installation thing was way back in the day. Do you remember the wizard with the purple hat? The installation wizard?
Yeah.
That was so cool. I know you were talking about installation packages, and that's all I could think about was I think he had blue robes and a purple hat. Every single time I installed a new program, I was like, let me install it. I want to go along with the wizard. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty funny when you install a program on your computer using an installer, because Install Shield isn't the only one. There's a lot of them. Hell, Winamp. I think the company that made Winamp, what was their name?
Yeah. I know.
I can't remember the name. Anyways, they created an installer that they made that was openly available and free to use. So you didn't have to even pay to use it as a developer. And all of them do these different things, but all they're really doing in Windows is they create a registry key, and I won't bore you guys with the details of where it is and all that, but they create a registry key that contains the name of an executable or a batch file, and it's usually like an obscure name, like, it just looks like a freaking GUID or something. And when it runs that, it runs it with a set of arguments, and then that removes the program. Well, the install shield's responsible for putting that in there. Basically, the install shield says, here's the uninstaller and where to run it. But anything can do that. Like, even if you create a batch file, you can do that. You can create a batch file installer that goes and creates that key that'll run the batch file with new arguments to remove whatever's on there. But again, as the developer of the application, you're 100% responsible for removing everything you put on there. And half the people that develop the shit don't even realize everything they're installing.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't, right? If you have a dependency on like 20 different libraries, like if you need the MVC libraries, you need the Visual Foundation, MFC, ATL, all the up-to-date stuff, DirectX and all that stuff, then they're like, I want to uninstall the program. You're like, oh, okay, delete my one executable. It's not going to go back and remove those 47,000 dependencies it just installed on your system, you know?
Right. Which leads to all the fragmentation.
That's why computers get so gummed up, man. It's just there's no way around it, to be honest.
You triggered a memory. when you mentioned Winamp, and it reminded me. I don't know why it triggered this memory. I guess because
Did
we're
you trigger it?
No
podcasting.
soft. No soft.
Fingers?
I just remembered it.
No, I think it's because we're podcasting right now, but it reminds me of Shoutcast, and it was my very first podcast I ever had back in like 2002 when I used to play professional Counter-Strike, and we used to, my clan, we used to have a weekly like Shoutcast where we would just talk about Counter-Strike news. It was so retarded and so.
I remember Shoutcast.
It was just so like dumb. I mean, I can't remember what we talked about. How could you talk about Counter-Strike for an hour?
It even worked at like modem speeds. I remember back then I was like rocking that stuff on 56K.
Oh, I was on dial-up. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
dial-up those days.
Yeah, and I think Shoutcast is even still around.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember I used to use it to stream music and stuff too, part of the podcast and stuff. I don't know, when you mentioned Winamp, I was like, oh yeah, Shoutcast.
It's still a thing
we
for
take-
Counter-Strike, I believe.
Is
I'm
it
still
really?
into Counter-Strike.
Wow.
And talking about you can't talk about Counter-Strike for an hour, I definitely understand being able to talk about Counter-Strike for an hour. My whole group of friends plays Counter-Strike, and
Okay, you
Stop
mentioned.
we talk
camping.
about
Stop camping. Stop camping
All right,
for like
look.
an hour.
So before you got on, Jerry, I asked Luke what games he plays because we had that mention about the game stream thing.
Oh, I'd
And,
love to do that.
Gaming night. And
Yeah.
he mentioned CSGO. And you know what? I played Counter-Strike so competitively back in Cal-M like 2000, 2001. I had the original Counter-Strike beta before 1.0 even came out. So I played it so hardcore. And I suck so bad at it now.
yeah.
It's hard to play because I get so angry with myself. I'm like, I used to be able to pull off I guess no scopes with an op, but I used to be able to be such an op whore. I didn't have to think about it. My muscle memory was perfect. Now I'm just like, if I was to have my dad come play Battlefield, kind of like that. I'm
I used to
so
play
terrible at it.
semi-competitively back when I was like 11 or 12. So yeah,
Thanks
playing
for making
now
me feel
sucks.
old, dude. Thanks.
Playing now sucks.
I was 19.
because
I was 19 when I played the beta. Thanks,
Dude,
dude.
last time I tried to play Counter-Strike 2.6 was probably about a year ago. And I remember I got on the server and all they were doing was they were playing the dust map and I would just run through the little archway and just get shot in the head every single time. Didn't matter what gun it was. Like headshot was instant kill with everything. I swear to God, everybody on the server was like insta headshot.
Yeah.
Like you could not get shot in the head. You could be doing backflips off like the back of the balcony. Boom, headshot before you hit the ground. I was like, is everybody on these servers just cheating? I mean, are they just not doing Punk Buster or
It
anything
was
on this
actually,
anymore?
well, it was actually that was the birth of Punk Buster. I mean, they had VAC,
Yeah.
Valve Anti-Cheat first, which then progressed into Punk Buster being used by many third parties. So, but yeah, the hacking was a huge thing back then because it was Counter-Strike was sort of like I shouldn't say the start. I mean, we're got to go back to Duke Nukem and Doom and all of those games when it came to dealing with private sessions when you
Yeah,
were doing
yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah.
in terms of like hosted servers without direct connect, like those games it was a big problem. I mean, I remember you would have one guy come in the server and he would just kind of point at the sky with like an M14 or an M4 carbine, and then everyone in the server would get headshot. It was like ridiculous types of cheats.
Homing bullets.
I remember like we take multiplayer gaming for granted now. I remember back when the only way to play like Doom 2 multiplayer was to actually call up a bulletin board system that had like 4 or more nodes and then like open a little door game that would like simulate the modem signal or whatever, and then you'd flip over to the game using Desk View X. And I mean, it was like seriously, you had to be like a developer to do it, but that was the only way to get like 4 people in a game playing.
I really kind of miss those days, though. I miss calling my friend on the computer, dial up, to play Quake. I mean, those days were so much fun. Original Quake and whatnot.
Yeah.
Hey, Swashin's in the house.
All right, so Jerry, you wrote something on the doc here that is cracking me up. I was laughing earlier. Hashtag Angry Jerry Attack. So go ahead and just tell people what pissed you off the most about that Windows 10 Angry Jerry Attack.
Oh my gosh. I just thought it was funny. Okay, so the comment that I was quoting, of course, was what Terry Myerson said. And so when you see the product in its fullness, I think you will agree with us that it's more than appropriate name.
Oh,
And I was
yeah,
like,
that
what
just sounds
the
like
fuck?
Windows 10.
Really? So even if like unicorn tears flew out of its ass, how would Windows 10 be the appropriate name? I don't get that. Like, how is that better than Windows 9?
It should have
I
just
mean,
called
other than
it.
it being a full version ahead, like, okay, so Luke, so if you've never used Windows 9 and you've never used Windows 10, if I say it's Windows 10, I mean, does that immediately instill on you that, oh my God, this product must be so many generations ahead that it's better than Windows 9? Not for me
Never.
either, so I don't get how he's saying that, like, now if it was called, like, Windows awesome sauce and the whole theme of the operating system was awesome sauces, then that would make sense. But I don't get how seeing it is going to justify calling it Windows 10. I don't get
usually the whole point of being able to tell that it was a huge improvement means that there was a large iteration, so you should have gone up exactly one number. That's kind of what revisioning means. So
I would have loved to be in that meeting, Luke. I would have loved to be in that meeting where they're sitting there and they're like, guys, we're about ready to ship Windows 9. And like, you know, you got Satya wiping a tear from his eye, and he's like, "This is so much better than anything I've ever expected from you guys."
Maybe I'm being cynical, but this honestly doesn't even feel like a Windows 9 to me. It feels like an 8.2.
That's because it was 8.2 before they edited that field and put 10 in there.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't. I don't even get where the 9 would come from on this. Honestly,
literally, it was 8.2. They were probably ready to upload it to Windows Update, and they were like, "I don't know, that start menu's kind of sexy." And they were like, backspace 10, and then like screw it, tell the press we ain't shipping it. And then I was reading the news, and they said that they haven't even commented on whether they're going to charge for it or not. If I recall my memory right, Windows 9 was supposed to be a giveaway upgrade that was basically like, we're really sorry, Windows 8 guys. We're going to make it right. This is Windows. If they come out with Windows 10, don't ship Windows 9, and then charge people another $100 or $200 for it, I am going to shit a golden egg.
It's gonna go down just like it did with 8. Oh, okay, those that are on Windows 7 can get a Windows 8 upgrade for $30, and then all of a sudden, 4 months later, it's $100.
It actually goes up afterwards. Remember what they did with Windows 8 where they're like, hey, everybody can get it for $35, and then all of a sudden it was like $200.
That's what I'm saying, is they were like, oh, introductory rate, $30, buy it, 2 months later, it's $199 for Pro.
Because normally what happens when software goes, over time, I'm going to kill my voice doing this just because I'm having so much fun, but it's worth it. Anyways, it just doesn't make sense, because when you buy a car, it's expensive, and then a couple months later, because more cars and other stuff comes out, it goes down in price. You don't go buy a car like on the first day it comes out and it's like $35, and then like 2 weeks later it's $70,000. It does not compute. I don't know. I'm starting to think that their marketing department is just like running in circles around the desk going woo 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 woo. But apparently it's working. I mean, the stock price is going up. I mean, apparently throwing away 18,000 people and buying Mojang does have a positive impact on things.
Well,
Mojang?
Yeah. Mojang.
I've never heard anyone call it Mojang.
I was calling it Mahjong.
That's the only thing I've ever heard anybody say it, actually.
Mojang.
Well,
wow.
Okay. Well, since you're segueing us over there, so Jerry, you've been out now for almost a month on TechTalk. Now, I had Paul, I am apropos, come on that week that you were out. I think you were off doing Dirtfish, was it? Something like that? I don't know. Oh, you were doing your car review. That's right.
Yeah, I was doing the Cadillac ELR review.
And we talked about this because it was still speculation at the time, and the speculated price was that Microsoft was ponying up $2 billion to buy an old game. And
very popular old game.
Very popular old game, which that they were going to microtransaction to death. But anyway, so here was my speculation. We'll see how it pans out over time. So do you remember back in June how they were kind of putting, we'll call it Mojang, since that's what you're calling it, when they were putting the kibosh on a lot of the in-server purchases you could do, buying the unbans and things like that. They were
Woody's gamertag was like really worried about all that, because they're like literally taking away everything that every Minecraft server does to generate revenue.
Right. So they were demonetizing it. Yep. And then 3 weeks ago when we did this topic, and everyone's like, oh my god, how could this be happening so quick? I was like, guys, look at this. It's not happening quick. Obviously the discussions were happening all the way back in June, where one of the prerequisites is they have to go and remove all of the private monetization that's happening, because Microsoft wants to flip it and charge you for it. So now here we are, $2.5 billion on the heels of laying off 18,000 people and changing who knows how many tens of thousands beyond that in terms of commerce and local economies, right, and just the livelihoods of all of those developers, which they tried to say, oh, well, guys, most of it was the Nokia platform. It doesn't matter. There's still jobs as far as I'm concerned under the same corporate umbrella. Then they can dump $2.5 billion on a 4-year-old game. That's not even like, I guess I don't understand the logic.
You also have to look at it in terms of a revenue. I'm going to be the horrible person in the room that tries to side with Microsoft. I don't actually agree with what they're doing, but I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Well, it's okay. We need the perspective of one ignorant person. So.
Whoa! I said devil's advocate, jerkface. Anyways.
I love
firing what can potentially be seen as dead weight. I'm going to attack Jerry directly now. what can be potentially seen as that, and replacing it with a potentially high-revenue platform. Ignore the date of release of 4 years ago, because that doesn't actually matter at all. It's how much the game is making and how much they can potentially make off of it by introducing microtransactions. So they had a lot of potentially expensive employees, which they probably shouldn't have dumped. They probably should have figured out how to utilize in different ways or better, but they didn't.
Just one quick little thing there. One thing I want to be clear on is, I make a lot of jokes about Microsoft because they laid us off, but they did do right by people with the severance packages and everything like that. They didn't just throw the people out on the street and say,
which is another thing that's confusing.
So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that it's like, yeah, I'm still bitter, but they did take care of us. I mean, they gave us time, they gave us money. We had to keep our insurance for 6 months. So we found out a lot of stuff afterwards that was really positive. I mean, it still sucks that they didn't try to move us around because, I mean, come on, let's be honest. Look at people's, I can't say specifics, obviously, but there was a lot of people that were let go that turned out to be critical pieces, and some of them aren't going back, and that's going to cause problems.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. They and like especially it's especially odd that they handled it that well, because if they were going to handle it that well and like spend that money, because extending that insurance costs money and giving those severance packages costs money, maybe they should have just spent that money reorganizing and re-platforming everyone. They're not just buying this 4-year-old game, which happens to be 4 years old and doesn't sell anymore. Minecraft still sells a lot. Minecraft still has an incredibly huge player base. Type Minecraft into YouTube. Oh my God! Type Minecraft.
Isn't it like the largest player base too? Because I think didn't Minecraft like surpass WoW or something like that for like number of player engagement?
Okay, I understand that and I agree with that, but my only thing I'm wondering is, it grew to where it did because it was an IP that was by a developer who just built it because he wanted to have something he enjoyed playing. He never intended it to blow up to what it is. And granted, yeah, Microsoft found his number.
Angry Birds.
But the bottom line is the IP going to remain the same, or is Microsoft going to now be the systematic destruction of it over time because of the way that the beast of Microsoft works when it comes to monetization?
Look at the track record.
It depends, but then, look at the track record, but then at the exact same time, it's already a really heavily monetized game. Just now, instead of paying people's, Woody's gamertag, you might be paying Microsoft. It's not like people aren't already paying microtransactions. It's not like they're already not okay with it's not like they're already okay with
But I kind of feel like the same way people are willing to do, like, the affiliate links for LMG and myself and Jerry and whatnot, they know they're supporting us, so they're willing to support Woody's gamertag or Minnesota Burns or whoever's doing the servers.
Right.
Once they realize they're supporting Microsoft, I think that's going to change.
But that's the thing is, I think
part
of the Minecraft culture, I think, is that people play on the servers that they want to play on because they're ran by the people that they like. Just like you were saying, to the people that do the mods that they like and put in the effort. And the reason why they put in that effort is because there is a payday in it. I'm not saying they're not passionate about it, but obviously you can't run a $20,000 a month data center like server without making $21,000 a month to make it worth your while. You just can't. Doesn't matter how passionate you are, unless you're a billionaire. That economics doesn't work. But things like this, if Microsoft starts continuing this demonetization process, and I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, it might actually make more sense for Microsoft to start approaching this open collaborative model. And I kind of get that vibe when I'm reading some of these things about them wanting to be more open about the OS and more open about that. I mean, don't read between the lines. It's not going to be open source by any stretch of the words, but it sounds to me like they want to be more collaborating and they want to engage the public more now. So it would be counterproductive to do that if they just went microtransaction whoring and didn't include the people that built that community.
Yeah, and if they follow the wildly successful Steam platform in making it so that creators get kickbacks on sales, that could actually be more beneficial for them potentially, because they could host all the servers. That's not exactly difficult. And if they had a platform that was broad across all servers where you could buy things directly from Microsoft, that are created by other people, that might actually bring more collaboration in, because it would be easier for little guys who, no matter what, won't be able to host a server of any size to be able to get their content out onto the platform.
Yeah, the other thing is, I bet you, I know this is like speculation whoring right now, but I wonder if Microsoft's going to use this same kind of model we've seen from like EA and stuff like that, where it's like they start renting out servers.
Yeah.
because that makes a lot of sense, because everybody wants to create Minecraft servers, but nobody has like the skill to set them up. They don't have the bandwidth to host them. They don't have the DDoS protection to protect, because this doesn't matter.
And you get a lot of people connected to those Minecraft servers. They are incredibly taxing to a PC.
That would be a big chunk of money, because you got to think about it. Microsoft owns Azure and has one of the largest data centers in the world for virtual machines. So it would make sense to heavily leverage that and sell server time. Be like, hey, do you want a Minecraft server for a day or a week or a month? Like a prefab select tier setup, you just get to be the boss? That'd be a brilliant idea, actually.
People are talking about the types of servers it takes to run those. You could just run a bunch of these guys, these Fire Pros. But yeah, these. Speaking of all this server hosting and stuff for gaming,
heat sink much, Jay?
It's
God, dude.
No, it's passively cooled. It's a server Fire. It's an S10000. It's for servers.
Oh, it's one of the Fire GL cards.
It's an OpenCL card. This is actually. I have 4 of these. They were given to me by Leap Gaming. We're gonna be doing a video soon where I'm gonna actually be showing one of their $65,000 servers that they use to do the AMD cloud gaming stuff.
Whoa.
And apparently there's like, I don't know, something like 1.2 million of these in the wild. But we're going to actually show what it takes to do cloud-based gaming, and it's going to be an interesting series. $65,000 per server just to do cloud-based gaming. So,
but the funny thing is how when you break it down, like, because I actually did a lot of the cloud computing stuff when I was at Microsoft, as far as hosting virtual servers and using them for testing and stuff like that. It's amazing how much you can justify the price of a high-end server over a bunch of desktops when you have to include things like power consumption, heating, or the HVAC system, and shelf space. Because a lot of people don't realize shelf space is a big deal, especially when you're hosting thousands and thousands of servers. And I think we had one big iron server at Microsoft that had 256 gigs of memory in it, and it had all SSDs, or I should say SAS drives, and in a high-powered RAID. And I think we were able to host like 90 VMs or something ridiculous. Almost basically you could create the equivalent of 100 high-powered workstations. Yeah,
this card right here weighs like 4 pounds by itself. It's so ridiculously heavy. Because
that's like all heat pipe and heat sink.
The backplate alone on this thing. But yeah, it's amazing how much professional graphics it takes to create these gaming servers. Because the way it works is, the game is being hosted on the server, and then the server is having to play the game and then serve it up. That's going to be a fun series. I'm looking forward to that, because my question, when we sat down and talked, my question to the guy was like, all right, so you have this amazing data farm, right? You're in all these data centers. You've got all the connections. You've got these massive connections. What's the real-world gaming experience like? What are we talking about in real-world delay here? So that's kind of what we're going to be covering with that, and I'm really looking forward to it. But I only showed this card because someone was mentioning the 9100, the W9100, which is the Hawaii base. Like, this is the Tahiti right here. So that's why I have a few of these. They're upgrading all of their servers right now to the Hawaii based GPUs for better power efficiency and heat. Could you imagine? These are actually only rated 300 watts, believe it or not. These are 300 watts full TDP for dual GPU cards. It's actually pretty efficient.
Yeah, I know the workstation cards usually are. I mean, the gaming cards are all about maximizing. I mean, they're not for reliability, right? Reliability and stability aren't the things that are on the forefront of gaming cards.
Yeah.
No.
But that's also why you pay such a huge premium, right? I mean, how much is that freaking Fire card right there?
This card used is $3,000.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, that was way more than I was expecting.
I'm not even that surprised, to be honest. When you get the passive cool ones, they're expecting you to have a room that is designed to be able to cool that card.
The server that I'm going to be showing actually fits 8 of these dual GPUs in there. 16 GPUs, 2U, 2U blade. So, 8
another
of
thing
these.
people don't realize is accurate rendering accuracy too. Like I know, like, and I learned this from using 3D Studio Max. Is if you engage OpenGL mode on a gaming card that supports OpenGL, you get artifacts when you're rendering. You get problems with lighting and stuff like that. I know the high-end Fire GL cards or whatever, like the actual rendering cards, they do it like way smoother, way more accurate. I mean, they're designed for OpenGL specifically, but then you go into a game and try to play it, and they suck.
I'm going to be firing this thing up actually and trying to play some games on it and see how it goes, because
I'm curious.
Well, the company that provided this to me also does custom BIOS and stuff for these Fire Pros. There's actually a gaming BIOS for this thing, which turns it essentially into a 7990. Now, it's kind of funny. You take it from a $3,000 card and turn it into a $500 card by doing that. But I'm interested to see. I guess apparently performance is within like 5% of where the Radeon variant would be of it.
But you would expect for 3000 it should be like, smacking around a Titan Z Black Edition.
I don't know. It's funny too because I've seen people in the chat saying stuff like, "Oh my God, you give Titan Z so much shit for costing so much, yet you're holding a card that's just as much." But do you know what this card can do for content creators? If it wasn't like passively cooled.
Yeah, if you tried to do Titan Z, what you did on that thing, it would probably catch fire and like kill your family. So
well, I'm actually going to hook it up in my Arc XL and just have normal case flow in there and see what happens to the temperatures.
I'm curious though, Jay. Maybe you know the answer. Maybe even Luke knows the answer to this though. Why is it that the high-end professional OpenGL chipsets are so much faster at 3D rendering and video production stuff than the gaming equivalent cards, yet the gaming cards just mop the floor with them when you're doing stuff like DirectX?
It's actually OpenCL that they use.
No, I'm talking about both. OpenCL is like their API basically for rendering anything, right?
Yeah, these cards and the BIOS that are on here are actually specifically OpenCL.
Yeah, and I'm talking about the OpenGL graphics standard for like 3D rendering. Like all the old games used to use it before DirectX came along, and I know the Linux and OS 10 games still use it.
It ties in a lot to what Jay just said, actually.
Oh, it does?
The OpenCL BIOS, which is on the card. They're designed and instructed to do different things. So they're going to do better at those
There's
things.
3 BIOS available for this card. One makes each of these GPUs on here act as 2 separate cards. They're not cross-fired. And they work in tandem to do the rendering. Then there's a Crossfire OpenCL that has a different type of algorithm based on what kind of actual rendering you're doing, what kind of content you're creating. And then there's a Radeon BIOS you can put on here, which essentially turns it into a gaming card.
So you have that granular of control with the firmware.
Yeah, but the thing is, it depends on the... See, AMD writes the card, and the companies that want to invest the time to write the BIOS to tap into those APIs can do whatever they want with them.
Yeah.
I see, and they can't do that with the gaming equivalent cards, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
you can
look at the
swap
top,
and update BIOS in some cards. Like people were BIOS swapping 290s to 290Xs at one point in time, but it's not going to be the same thing.
It's not a supported solution though, right? I mean, you can do it, but it's not going to be supported. Whereas these cards are designed for professionals to basically say, "Hey, I work at Pixar, and we have a very, very specific algorithm that we use that renders shit 10 times faster for what we use." They can basically build a custom firmware with the help of the company. And that's like a supported scenario.
Right. It'll be specifically tuned to whatever suites they're using. Like you can almost write this card to do anything you wanted, pretty much.
Yeah, I know OpenCL is ridiculously like, you can do anything with it. I mean, people are just using it as like random floating math generators and Bitcoin miners and stuff.
Yeah.
So I know it's super flexible. And what's the NVIDIA equivalent? It's
the Quadro.
Yeah, I've heard it's
Tesla.
Oh, Tesla.
Their super high-end card. I think it's NVIDIA Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla.
I know Quadra. There's also incredibly low-end Quadra cards because I had one in my Z400 workstation at work, and holy crap, it couldn't even play like 1080p full-screen YouTube content.
There's some fairly cheap ones. Their Tesla cards are the ones that are probably more closer to the one that Jay is holding, because you can get Tesla cards that are incredibly expensive, and Quadro cards are more expected for people who are enthusiasts and high-end people, but doing stuff like CAD or high-end Premiere, not hosting giant servers. I think that's more the Tesla side of things.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I'm actually going to be doing a video on this. I'm supposed to be getting a dual, I think it's C86. Correct me if I'm wrong, Luke. Isn't C86 the Haswell E high-end chipset for like content creation? I think it's C86. So we're supposed to be getting a dual Xeon board, dual 18-core 36-thread CPUs, and putting 2 of these, which is 8 GPUs, and creating a render station to compare it to like, okay, Haswell EX99, yeah, that's cute. Here's what a real rendering station looks like. And
are they letting you keep that? Do you get to keep that?
I'm not saying.
Oh my god, if they let you keep that, I'm gonna fly back down there again just to play with it.
And I'm water cooling the video cards as well as the CPUs. So.
Jay, seriously, oh my god. I need to get some knee pads and work it like you do, bro.
No, this X99 right here, I'm happy with it. The 5960X and being a multi-purpose machine. Yeah, X99 is great, and with the proper settings. Granted, I'm not exporting out 4K like you guys are over there. 1080p content, 15 megabit per second bit rate. I can take an 18-minute video and render it in 5 minutes. That's freaking amazing. I can't imagine what a real render station like this is going to do. I would assume render it just as fast, but with like a 50-bit rate.
Well, I remember seeing Turn 10 Studios. I remember seeing a live render that they were doing in 3D Studio Max. They can actually run one of their viewports in full with a full pixel shader and everything, running at like 240 frames per second on a scene. And it's like if you tried to do that even with like your popped out rig, you might get 2 to 3 frames per second tops.
Now I do have a legitimate problem to overcome, and actually I think on Monday I'm going to be having this meeting. The 2U blade that's coming in here is a 4,000 watt machine.
I thought you were going to bring up that your knee pads might not be squishy enough, but that's
that too.
Right,
but we'll cross that
custom
bridge.
Power into your room.
You can borrow mine.
I'm not going to be able to load up the blade. I mean, I'm going to turn it on, but I can't put it under any sort of load, or else I'm going to bring the whole neighborhood down. I mean, this house I'm in is built in '63. When I was benchmarking my 3-way SLI system the other day, my lights were dimming.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I told the guy, I said, look, I'm not going to be able to load this thing, or I could turn it on. He says if you do something that only calls for 1 GPU, you're fine. He's like, I'd maybe use 2. But yeah, I mean, 15 amp breaker, that's not going to happen.
So full load on that thing's 4,000 watts.
On the 2U blade, yeah, with the dual Xeons.
How many power supplies does it have? Is it
I think 4.
Yeah.
No,
power supplies?
Yeah, I think he said 4. He said I only need to hook up 1 power supply.
Is it 2 at a time, 2 redundancy?
I think so.
Yeah,
That would make sense for a server like that. You know what you should do is just run some heavy duty extension cords so that you're on 4 individual circuits or 2 individual circuits. That would give you 3,000 watts.
Yeah.
Is it a 240 system too, or is it 110?
No, it's 110.
Is 110 because I know all the servers that we operated at Microsoft were all 240.
240.
Yeah.
They were we had to wire the room specifically for 240 for the power draw.
No, I mean, they're actually talking about 2 different systems here. He's sending me the 2U, but I'm building a dual Xeon system as well for the render station.
Right.
Can you do a video of you just loading up a game and the lights like flicker a little bit and then the breakers blow? I just want to
dude,
see that.
No, I'm not even kidding. I don't know what's behind these walls, and I was legitimately worried when I was doing Firestrike and on the combined test.
Yeah.
This CFL up here was like dancing, and then all the LEDs on my system were dimming out, and the sound of all the inductors and the coil whine, I was like, as soon as if I make it through this test, I'm posting the numbers and I'm uninstalling Firestrike because I don't want to cause a fire.
Get it, Firestrike? Oh,
Dude, that'd be the greatest video title ever. I burned my house down playing Firestrike.
NVIDIA burned my house down.
Oh my gosh, dude.
All right. Well, our last topic on here before we kind of do a Twitter blitz, and I thought that maybe Luke could give us some direct insight to this one.
Yes.
Lamborghini reveals their new hybrid concept, and this
it's
is
all right. I mean,
all
we've
right.
been driving it for a little while now. They obviously let us drive the concept cars first. I'm still personally into Tesla Roadsters, but I don't know, the whole 3 electric motor thing is pretty cool.
It doesn't look like a Lamborghini though. That's the only thing. Like they've got their pretty well established kind of a base design. It looks nothing like that. In fact,
Does it remind you of not the inside, but does the outside and like the back kind of remind you more of like a
Camaro?
Yeah, I was gonna say a Ford.
Yeah, it looks like a Camaro, maybe like a cross between the Camaro and maybe a GT40 or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like it looks a little bit like an Aston Martin a little bit, but the front's more open up.
Yeah. So anyway, it's called the Asterion. First of all, what the hell, Lamborghini? These names. Look, when Linus meets with Lamborghini next week, Luke, could you please tell them to
For
really
when we
come
get
up
our
with
our 4th Asterion, yeah, we'll probably ask him for more simple names.
I don't know. Are they coming in more than 2 colors? I don't know.
See, we can obviously get custom colors, but I don't know if they're coming stock in more than 2 colors.
Now this was actually the step up for the hitting 1 million, I believe. Before that, you guys were just stuck on the Aventador.
Yeah, unfortunately, once we hit 1 million, they pretty much ship these to us the day of.
So the car code is LPI 910-4. It's a 5.2 liter V10 making 600 brake horsepower or 610 brake horsepower.
They actually have a custom. Ours is LTT 10-4.
I see.
Yeah, see that's why we're able to get the custom colors and stuff like that because we have our whole.
I heard that edition came with a special pillow that you put on the driver's seat to sit your position a little higher. Is that true?
See, that's a potential option. Mine didn't have that, but certain other members of the company.
Well, could you imagine if Luke tried to sit in there with the booster? It's
Oh
not
my
going to
gosh.
happen.
Oh, does it have a sunroof right over the
I have a custom little bump that goes over the driver's seat.
Dude, I'm not even kidding. Did you ever see the old the Ford GT40s? The old Ford GT40 Mark II or whatever actually had a slight bubble for the helmet of the driver. Like literally, he was packed in there like a sardine tuna. I was like, oh my god, dude.
What makes this car interesting though is I guess, and I kind of come back to your review you did of the Cadillac ELS, the hybrid or the tandem working of the electric motors with the gas engine. We're like a lot of hybrids, the gas engine powers the electric motor is doing most of the work until you're out of juice.
Yeah.
But in this one here, it's 610 brake horsepower with an additional 300 horsepower being generated by the electric motors.
Yeah.
There's 3 electric motors.
No, and they do this differently in the hypercars. In the hypercar systems, they use like the Formula One system, where the electric motors are piped right into the drivetrain, and they're power balanced with the gas engine. But not only that, they also route the power to run an electric motor to keep the turbo spooled, so that when you're shifting, it's like you have anti-lag. Like in a turbo car, normally, well, Jay, because you drove a turbo car, right? Your what'd you have? Was it like Eclipse or Jay? What was the car you used to race back?
Oh, the GSX.
The GSX, yeah, you had a turbo. That was what the X was, right? So the turbo in that.
Well, the X was all-wheel drive. Technically, the T was the front-wheel drive turbo.
The T was the turbo. Okay, so anyways, in a turbo car, you shift, and even if you shift really fast, you lose revs off the turbo really quick because the impeller in it's really lightweight. It drops off very quickly. So what they do in rally cars is they basically just blow between shifts. They just blow gas into the exhaust pipe. It explodes like a bomb and keeps the turbo spooled up. Well, that damages the turbos. They basically fall apart on you after like a couple of races. To get it reliably in the Formula One cars, what they do is they actually have an electric motor that spools the turbo. So every time you go to shift the car that 1/10 of a second, which doesn't seem like much, that electric motor kicks in and holds the turbo at speed.
I would imagine the electric motor was a lot easier to tune to the turbo's max RPM rate.
And if you hear rally cars, they sound like even the best tuned rally car. I mean, it seriously sounds like there's just rocks and marbles in the exhaust system. I mean, the science behind how the anti-lag works is literally just have an injector blow gas.
But see, that was the issue. Pipe. That was the issue with my DSM, was the fact that it had a big turbo on it, and granted the displacement was bumped up to 2.5 with the Hyundai lower end on it, especially at 2.0 with a big turbo. There was massive boost lag from both a launch or a shift, depending on how fast you could shift. So I could see that being beneficial.
And to be honest, this thing doesn't probably. Is this car turboed? Is the Lamborghini turboed? The 5.2 liter?
It doesn't say. This is just a concept. It's a V10, so I'm assuming maybe they're going with pure raw horsepower and natural aspiration.
Because 610 off of a naturally aspirated V10 is like, that's easy. The Dodge Viper pulls that off, and that's an American motor.
But the stat that really confused me on this was it says it does 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat, which is, there's plenty of regular supercars doing faster without. So I'm assuming there's
like 2. That's
yeah. Well, fast. No, I think we're talking like 2.2, 2.3.
No. What is it? The Bugatti Veyron, I think, still holds the. No. The GT40 that was built out, I think, was 2.3 seconds, but that was like a world record-breaking car. The Bugatti was. I think 3 seconds is still, even by today's standards, considered stupid fast.
Okay, so it's got a top speed of 78 miles per hour on the electric motors, which are putting out 300 horsepower. That doesn't add up to me.
I think it's probably the gearing on the drivetrain, because the way that they have them tied
is it direct drive with the motor at that point?
Yeah, I don't think that they can gear it any more than that, than having to have like a crazy nether gearbox.
If they were tapped out at 78 miles per hour on those motors, like dogs are howling going down the neighborhood because the motors are whining so high, or what?
Yeah, probably. The only thing I don't get is, in order for them to achieve that 900 plus horsepower combined between them, I'd have to imagine that the electric motors were still contributing even up into 180 miles an hour, and I don't know how they could do that.
Well, I don't know, Luke. You rode in one. You tell me.
Yeah, Luke, how's that system work, buddy?
Well, I don't know how it works. I just know how fast it goes.
He's all, I pick up sweet chicks.
Yeah. Do you guys park next to the Learjet in the hangar, in the LTT hangar?
No, see, that's where the pool is. In the hangar, there's a pool between the two.
I got you. Is that where you keep your submarines?
Yeah, because the pool has, like, you can go under all the land formations out to the ocean. And then if you don't want people to know that you're coming in, because we're obviously way too popular, you can stay under the water in the submarine, come into the hangar, surface, and then get out in the hangar and then fly out or drive.
So you just go in underground to the Linus compound?
Yeah. No big deal.
See, guys, this is what a million sub channel does. This is how they do it. See, I get up in the morning, I take a shower, I go get my my beat up STI and usually get pulled over by some cop who lets me go. They just go get in their submarine, and then they don't have to deal with the popo. They just have to deal with like the sea life.
Hey, at least you have an STI. I'm still dealing with an Altima.
I don't know. Your Ultima had pretty good get up and go though. I will give it that.
The only thing fun about the Altima is the CVT transmission, and it's fun to freak people out who've never been in a car with a CVT.
Shift,
404 name not found has told me to butt into the convo and talk about my own car. So I have a 2009 Acura TL. I love my car. But I bought my car after doing a huge amount of research because I know practically nothing about cars, and then decided this one was nice, mainly for reasons that were outside of the engine. And then when I bought it, I was like, I'm going to buy the one that has a nice engine. So it goes fast.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem with them is I heard, I haven't driven one, but I heard that they understeer like crazy.
I haven't had that at all, actually.
Like the TLs, because they got like close to 300 horsepower front wheel drive.
I believe that's but I believe that is. I know there was understeering problems, but I think that was pre 2009 because they did a big model switch. Came out. Yeah, they did there was a big model switch after 2008. My 2009 is the first of the new like car chassis or whatever.
Oh, okay. I heard that they created a smart differential. Like it used to be, the rule of thumb was anything more than 220 horsepower you couldn't put down in a turn in a front wheel drive car. Like it was theoretically impossible. And then they created like these smart diffs. I think Ford was the first one to pioneer it. Where now cars have like 360 horsepower and they steer beautifully.
Yeah. My car has that system. I don't remember what it's called for Acura because I believe it's one of those things where every company has their own name for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll automatically balance.
It's funny too because when I used to do the road racing and stuff in the Camaro, we used to always have fun with the front wheel drive guys because we would be out on the tracks at like Willow Springs, right? And these front wheel drive guys were understeering like crazy and ended up off the track constantly, and they were all freaking out. And I explained to this one guy in the pits, I'm like, look, you have traction for turning, traction for braking, and traction for acceleration. You have to pick one of the three. You can't have all three at the same time.
Well, you got to balance them. What do they call it? The traction budget?
The moment you break the laws of physics on one of them, the other ones are going to also go with it.
Yeah.
And so what these guys were trying to do hard braking into a turn with front wheel drive, which you wouldn't do with a rear wheel drive anyway, and also doing hard acceleration out of a turn, which at that point the acceleration is going to win and the turning traction is going to lose. So it was fun to teach some people how to drive.
Well, I have a lot of people that really like the STI. Like they're like, oh man, that's the coolest car ever. I will tell you what, if you want to take a car to the track and have like a lot of fun and not feel like you're going to die all the time, don't get an STI, get an Evo. I hate to say that. All my STI guys are going to kick me in the teeth for saying that because the Evo is like the evil car, but God.
Being the Mitsubishi guy, if you guys want a car, the engine that's reliable, fuck the 4G63, don't get an Evo, get an STI.
I know, reliability Subaru, but the Evo, I drove an Evo once and I did a lap on a track and all I could think of was, man, my car is a lot of work. You can get a fast time in an STI, but the problem with them is they understeer like hell. You have to commit to a lot of speed into a corner so that you can load the front brakes and get all that weight on the front of the car. Because if you're not going fast enough, that car ain't steering.
That's a little bit of the advantage though of being an i4 on the Evo, because you have a little higher center of gravity that you can actually shift around. Where the low center of gravity on your box 4 is nice, but it's also extremely low center of gravity.
The diff is ridiculous in the Evo, though. Oh my God! I drove an Evo 11. That thing you just point it. It doesn't matter what speed you're going. You just point it. You might slide sideways off the track, but it points where you tell it to. No matter what.
You'll look pretty as you're going in the dirt. All right, guys, let's go ahead and do that the lightning round basically here. So for the last 15 or so minutes here, we're just going to take Twitter hashtag TechTalk if you guys want to ask any questions there.
And Luke, butt in like crazy, buddy. That's how Jay and I work. We just walk on each other.
We're like, hey, good with Skype. Shut up.
Just get in.
We're not talking about cars now, so I might have something to say.
Ooh.
A topic that Luke wasn't an expert.
What are you talking about? You drive a TL. That's basically a sports car, just a heavy sports car, but it's still a sports car. It
is a pretty heavy sports car. It has a lot of weight to it. Let's see here. Pizza everywhere.
That's a
tech question. The spec for the Bugatti Veyron SS is 0 to 60 in 2.4 for the SS. So I think it's 2.8 on the original.
Please don't talk about pizza because I haven't eaten dinner yet and I am starving.
Have I told you about my pizza? I used to make pizzas. He takes his headphones off.
Tell me, Luke. Tell me.
Oh my gosh.
Start with us all.
Don't turn this into food talk, please.
I know Jay gets so mad
Hashtag
and all I
food
do is
talk.
post.
That's somewhere
pictures
where
of
I could
food.
jump in and talk my head off.
All right, Bradley Clapp. I hope that's not a status, actually. He wants to know about what advanced uninstaller you would use to remove programs.
How much are they paying me for your appearance here?
Oh, wait, let me turn the camera off.
It's $450.
Linus, get out of
We
here!
have to pay
Linus,
for
go
gas and
away!
everything,
You're not
like,
in this tech
Yeah.
talk.
Lamborghini concept.
Well, don't forget about the maintenance.
Yeah, that's
not
actually
cheap.
crazy.
But I
Not
thought
cheap
that
on
was
Lambos.
included, though.
And like even tires are expensive on Lambos.
Yes, they
I
are.
think.
Yes, they
I don't
are.
have tires on mine. I couldn't
I
afford
think
it.
I would.
Yours just flies.
It doesn't corner too
The
well.
wings were too expensive.
The wings.
We're getting the Lambo tips from the source
Hey,
himself.
Luke, this lets you drive all the Lambos.
I have this thing, which is really weird, and I don't really recommend it.
Mighty perky banana.
Yeah.
Banana flavored chew bar covered with delicious.
Or
You guys are
Yeah.
getting an exclusive behind the
Do you
look
like black licorice?
inner workings of LMG in the wild.
This is black licorice normally, and then this is chocolate filled black licorice.
Maybe
And
two.
they're logs. So remember those raspberry ones that I had?
Yeah.
Same idea, but now chocolate filled or not chocolate filled and black.
Yeah,
That's okay. I probably
I
shouldn't
just-
use them now.
I just want dinner, and we're talking about food here.
Tech Talks brought to you by RJ's Licorice.
Not a sponsor.
Really, you're gonna do advertising integrations on their show?
For something that I had to get shipped to me from somewhere else.
Jerry, your mic is all weird.
Yeah, your
Jerry's
mic's all crazy.
Jerry's connection is like.
They can't hear me. Oh, whatever.
Oh, they should be able to.
Oh,
Yeah. Hi.
sorry. Is this thing on? Hello.
Yes, it is.
Loud noises.
Going?
I'm okay.
I think there might be the raspberry chocolate filled one still behind.
This is like the
some
best
reason.
like random like segue thing.
Hey, Luke. Luke,
Okay,
Linus.
Ben and I aren't quite done yet anyway, so it's-
Luke.
Okay.
Luke.
I
Luke.
apparently have to go back to the show.
Luke,
No. I
Bye
just want.
everyone. Bye everyone.
Luke. Bye.
Linus forced your mic to auto adjust way down. By the way.
I know it does that.
Okay. Because he's screamed into the thing.
Is
No,
it
we just.
snapped back by now?
I don't know. Say something.
Has it snapped back by now?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that was a pretty rare inner workings of LMG that most people don't get to see. It's all
You
about
need to
granola
cut
bars.
that out and make it like its own clip. Be like Linus be coming for food. Linus, hungry Linus.
I've looted his food before too. Sometimes if we're at the office really late, like I'm filming right now. I'm filming what we're calling I don't know the final name, but essentially it's an ultimate keycap guide. So I'm going through like identifying all the different specs of your own keyboards, like what stem is on your switch. So if you have like a Razer mechanical switch, you know that it's actually a Cherry stem, so you can it's a Cherry compatible stem, so you can use Cherry keycaps, like people that are like Cherry MX compatible keycaps, you can use those on that keyboard. And then going through and figuring out if you want dampeners, and then how you where to buy them and how to replace them and blah 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 blah, everything you could possibly do about ultimate keycaps. But it's taken the entire day to film because the script is 6 pages long.
Script?
So
I know. I don't even know. Is that a lot?
that's a lot.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a lot,
I don't even know.
So I have to go back and finish filming that later.
I don't script so much as I just say everything and then fix it in editing. Oh God,
we didn't used to, but we do now.
Throw something at him, Luke. Quick, throw something at him.
No, I don't want to. That makes the rest of my day
Now
hard.
we just have
Dude, if
Linus's
farted
butt
right
in
now,
your
your
face.
night would be so bad.
Linus butt tips.
Are you in the pantry, dude?
Oh, this is my office. This isn't the pantry.
Are you
If
serious?
your
Coming there
pantry
for
is just
food, now he's
randomly
looking for a
filled
cup
with
of
thousands
sugar.
of dollars of graphics cards, then sure, it's a pantry. I don't know.
It's a
whatever you
geek pantry.
want. Yeah.
He's like, I
look.
only got 200
Oh,
frames
look.
per second. I
I
want
need you within arm's reach. That's an average pantry.
I think there are three.
Aww.
There are 3
Actually,
within reach.
and a 780
And a
Ti.
780 Ti.
Dude, I'm such poor
Probably
people now.
more.
All I got is those 680s. Those used to be
That's
like
just
badass
fine.
cards.
Imagine if he used his Wang.
Oh god. Any more bets on how many times he walks back in?
I don't know. Once he starts filming, he'll be back down there for a little while.
I know we
think.
need to start getting an over/under going here. All right, let's
An
see.
over under.
An over/under. Let's see here.
2-1 odds, guys. 2-1 odds. Here we go.
That sounded wrong. Let's see.
That's a whole different stream, Jerry. That's
Whole different
Wednesday
stream,
nights.
guys. Sorry, they don't allow that on here on the
It's
YouTube.
Wednesday nights on a different tube.
All right, so questions. We have ask. Wait, why is Ask Tech Talk? All right. Hold on. I'm on this. Let's see. What do you think of military-themed cases? I
So
don't
the
that
C70 or mods? I'm
It
not
sounds
entirely
very-
sure if they're talking about modified military theme cases or like the C70, because that's pretty much the only
Yeah, I
one
would
I
say
know.
that's like the only thing you can go with, little ammo box looking case. But
I mean,
Yeah, or unless you modify it heavily yourself. I've seen people that have made military in general themed cases that are based off whatever the heck
I
because
think
they
they're.
paint
I
it and
feel.
do
I feel like they're incredibly niche. Like only a few people would probably like be really into a military themed, like desert camo or whatever.
There's been some really cool ones, but
Yeah.
obviously, like you said, there's gonna be your audience. But if you're making it for yourself, which is what I see most mods are
Yeah.
actually more for yourself than anything.
And who
that's awesome,
cares what
whatever.
anyone else
Yeah.
thinks?
Exactly.
I mean, I like them. I think it's cool. I mean, I play FPS, so
Like,
but if you're
I-
a pacifist, you're probably not going to be too keen on it.
Well, like I take a lot of shit for having yellow in my system, but the yellow's my favorite color. It's always been.
There you go.
Dude, your yellow system looks like titties, dude. I love that thing.
I've seen a fair amount of military themed cases that are absolutely badass.
Like MMPC Tech did a really good military thing. A few of them actually.
If
Few really
if
good.
MMPC Tech has done a theme, they did a really good theme.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything
Oh.
they produce is
Bill,
fantastic.
Bill Owen knows his shit.
I got a good one here. Okay, so at that striker guy said Opera, Google Chrome, Mozilla, or Internet Explorer. I'm gonna
Literally
say
all of
Chrome.
them.
I'm gonna
I
say
use
Chrome.
literally all of them.
But Internet Explorer you only use because you needed to download Chrome, right?
Well, I have to download all the other. Yeah, I go open up Internet Explorer. It opens 2 tabs in a pop-up because it's freaking terrible. And then
Yeah.
I go to ninite.com and download all the programs that I need for that computer, and then I'm done.
Ninite's pretty cool. I'm gonna actually do a video on Ninite here pretty soon because
And it's fantastic.
It is.
And
yeah.
they're such cool guys. That was one of the first videos that when I started working with Linus, I was like, we should do a video on this because it's awesome. And then we ended up doing a video on it, and they even ended up getting in contact with us, and they were just super nice.
Hey,
people.
nobody go watch their video. Wait for mine. Just wait. I'm just
Wait
kidding.
for
Go watch.
Jerry's so that it can pop up in your feed, and then it can remind you to go watch the better one, which is on LinusTechTips.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'm willing to admit which one's better. It's okay. But I'm just saying,
It's probably
Internet
not that
Explorer,
good. It's a pretty old
Internet
video.
Explorer should be renamed to Ninite Downloader.
Yeah, that would be awesome. You'll actually if you try out like the pro version and stuff, which we didn't cover any of that in our video, and there's been a lot of changes since our video anyway, so it'll be pretty cool to see yours. But their pro version is actually awesome, especially if you live in like a household with a fair amount of people, or if you work as IT in an office. Because you can use a Ninite executable through the pro version, which the pro version can track if people are updated. And then you can stream updates over your entire network with it. I know there's already things in place that can do that, but the pro version is super easy. And if you have a very low IT budget, you can kind of stay away from those heavier.
What's the cost of the
softwares.
pro version on that?
I don't know.
It's probably not much.
It's not that high, no. And it's like the only thing that they have that costs money. Let's see.
I'll have to check it out because I'd like to keep everything in my house up to date. I'm sick of this whole running around shit.
Yeah.
I got to conserve those calories, you know. I'm just burning away.
Up to 100 machines a month is $20 a month.
Oh,
That's not
too
bad at all. That's like for a
No.
business. Holy crap.
Yeah,
So,
if you were constantly having to set up machines, that would like us, that would be amazing.
so
Yeah.
here we got a question from my buddies over there at Digital Storm PC. They're like, "What are your thoughts on the new Velox?" My thoughts on the new Velox is you need to get one up in my damn room here so that I can review it. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it at that, guys. I need a new computer. My poor computer down here that I built is dying.
You notice
I need a new one.
you notice how Digital Storm gets a plug like every week?
Well, yeah, because I want one of their computers. Hey, Digital Storm, come on, make with the Velox, okay? All right. I'm sure they'll be contacting me on Skype in like 3 seconds.
Just to tell you no.
Well, no, they don't tell me no. They don't. They're really good at like
They
kind
just
of
also don't say yes.
dragging me on. Well, no, yeah, but they're good at it. I still like them. So obviously they're doing something right. Let's see. What? Seriously, that's all the questions? Hold on, I gotta refresh. There's got to be more than this. Oh yeah, there's tons more. Okay.
You guys don't display the hashtag on your stream at all.
Say what now?
That would be the right way of doing it.
I don't even know what he say do how.
Because you guys could have like a scene or like something on the screen so people know.
You know what's
what the
funny, and I
hashtag
know
is.
you guys get this too, but we're like, hey, do something. We're like, okay, come to hashtag blah blah blah, and they're like, fuck Twitter. We don't want to do Twitter. We hate
Oh, yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Fuck that Twitter thing. I love Facebook because it has I said Minecraft. Microsoft has Minecraft. No, they have Farmville. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Saved. Hey, here's one. So, Andy Bird said, Luke, can you guys please do a review of the Asus ZenBook UX301LA?
That's specific.
Yeah,
Probably
I thought
not.
that was pretty damn specific.
Probably
Okay,
not
so
because
probably
we haven't
not.
done. I don't think we've done a ZenBook review yet at all, and that's because ASUS isn't sending us one, and we're probably not going to buy one. So yeah, answer right now is probably not. But
Send
maybe.
me one. Send me one just so I can make fun of them because they couldn't get it. Okay? I'll
I
send it
think
right
we'll
back.
be. I think we'll be fine with our Blade and our OS X. I
I
think
know.
it's X3.
I want a Razer Blade. I keep looking at it. I'm like, I'm not a big fan of a lot of like Razer peripherals, but god damn it, I look at that thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want that. I do.
When I was meeting with someone the other day, he had a Razer Blade, and he was like, "Have you seen the construction quality of this?" Because I hadn't seen one since the original
That's what
Razer
I'm
Blade
hearing,
launched back
yeah.
in CES 2013. And he handed it to me. And I was looking at all of the dimensions on it, how well like it measured on one side versus the other. Because like MacBook Pros have really started coming down in some of the build quality. And I was
yeah.
looking at it and going, this thing just feels more solid and flawless in my hand than any MacBook. I mean, full metal
Hashtag
construction.
Steve Jobs is dead.
Yeah, really. I'm telling you, it's like things have
Yeah.
gone. And I'm not even an Apple fanboy. It's just like in the last 4 years, I would say things have really just gone downhill as
fan
when
of
he got
their-
sick and
Yeah,
whatnot.
Well,
I'm a
dude, I
fan of
still
their
have my
build quality, but
I still have my 17-inch MacBook Pro from 2011 that's got the 3.2 gigahertz i7 in it, the first generation. I love that thing.
Dude.
It's like a billet, like it looks like they just cut the entire thing out of a giant block of aluminum, and it feels like that when you use it.
Jerry, my wife's MacBook Pro is a 2009, still running an E8400 with 4 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, Apple needs to find another Steve Jobs.
I mean, that was the thing, is it just ran forever. But let's not turn this into Apple talk. That'll piss a lot of people off.
Yeah,
So let's talk Apple. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, let's wait a second. Isn't that what we do? No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Okay, so
Sorry, hold on. Somebody mentioned something that the graphic behind Luke on the wall looks incredibly bad at low resolution.
Oh my
Especially
god!
if I
I just noticed that.
like
Dude, you have a giant
cover
wang
it.
sticking out of your head.
I'm okay with that because it's Serenity.
It's Serenity.
So like, it's
So now
yeah.
every time I watch every time I watch Firefly, I'm gonna think of a giant space wang. Nice.
yeah, just like when they're going to that I'm gonna fail the names, but that giant ship and they're like slowly entering. It's like vocal cords.
The wall and comes out a little bit, and then goes in again, and bounces off the wall, and goes in again. Oh,
Yeah.
mental pictures.
Giant metal vocal cord.
Oh, here's one for Jay. So, Mr. Mini Death said, "How much did you spend on Skunkworks?"
Collectively? No,
Yeah.
I maybe 1,300 tops.
Jay. I seriously,
I have like I have connections at Intel, but I'm not hooked up with Intel. So I had to buy my processor and then some fittings like Primo Chill. I won't do work with Primo Chill because they're like, if you're gonna do Primo Chill, then you have to do only Primo Chill ever. And I'm like, sorry, I'm not gonna lock down like that.
like
so
companies like that. I really don't.
yeah, like my extensions, which are Lutros Customs, they were like, no, you can't use those. I'm like, peace out.
What?
Yeah, because they have their own extension sets.
You
So
know,
it's
you know
like
what companies I like? I like the companies that literally contact you an email and they're like, "Hey, we have a product, and you look like you might actually like it because you've done reviews of similar things. Can we just send you a couple and you just make a video whenever you want and it's cool. You don't have
No.
to return anything." I get a lot of those now, and I'm like, "You guys are actually pretty cool." And they're like, I email back, I'm like, "Just to let you know, it might not be 100% positive. You know, I like to speak my words." And they reply back and they're like, "We'd expect nothing less. Thank you. Have a nice day." I'm like, "You guys are awesome."
No, yeah, I've got one of those coming too, but Tokyo Flash. Now I know Linus has looked at some Tokyo Flash watches in the past, right? And they sent me one. I think it was early this year, maybe last year.
Heard of them. Is it like
They're-
smartwatch? Or?
No, they're not.
Fan.
They're not smartwatches. They're just like unique watches, like different
They
types
just
of.
look cool.
They're fan-driven design, and then if they pick your design, they'll make a limited run of them, and then they keep moving forward. So the designs are always changing. And they sent me one, and I basically did a video, and at the end of it, I was like, guys, don't buy this watch. Whatever you do, don't buy the watch. I mean, there were like fingerprints under the glass. It had a lot of problems, and I was like, it's cool, but it was a $200. It was a $200 watch. It had fingerprints under the glass, and they're made in Singapore. And so I basically did this review, and I was like, guys, just don't even consider buying this watch, please. There's better options for a lot less. So I did my thing, and I was completely unbiased about it. I sent the link over to them. No response, right? I'm like, okay, yeah, they hated it.
Yeah.
They'll never send me anything. That's fine. I don't want anything from them again. I get an email 3 months later like, hey, we loved your review. Do you want to take a look at another one? I'm like, did you even watch the thing? Because I'm thinking you didn't. Because I told the whole world, don't buy your watches. So I just replied back and I was like, you've got to be kidding me, right? And then
Should have been like, okay.
I'm not joking. When I did the office redesign in here and I was getting rid of like the wall of crap, that box with the watch in it went straight in the trash.
My favorite thing, though, is that, and I've noticed this, actually, especially with, I just did a review of the Phoenix Pandora, and that wasn't a super positive review because there was things broken out of the factory. Just like you said, you had fingerprints under the glass. That's not going to happen with every watch people get from Tokyo Flash. There's also not going to be things broken out of the box with a Phoenix Pandora every single time people get that. But it is something very good to bring up in your review because that shows that there wasn't a super awesome amount of quality assurance on that product.
The other issue I had was all the buttons on it. When you pushed the buttons in, it felt like it was rubbing sandpaper. It was just like crunchy and it was terrible.
That's no good.
I never had a watch pinch arm hair like that one either because the links were so loose.
Well, people don't necessarily care. They want to see what you say about the product, and if you're like, oh yeah, don't buy it, and they're like, actually, I just want to buy it anyways, it doesn't matter. As long as you reviewed it properly and said everything's critically, then they can make up whatever opinion they want.
And
so
I try and
it's possible that they watched the video and then were just like, we got a bunch of sales from it, so who cares?
I try and be detailed and let the audience know when I'm being objective versus subjective.
Yeah.
But like I can only talk about my experience with it, you know. And in my experience with Tokyo Flash that one time, granted they may have been a one-off, it was not great.
Yeah.
So
I know the ones that we had, and we've had a fair amount. I've never had any problems with the buttons, and there was never any fingerprints under the glass. But then again, I don't wear mine, so
yeah.
I kind of want one now. Oh crap, he's back.
Do I win?
You don't wear yours? I figured you were talking about underpants.
Oh yeah, never.
I think I win, right?
I get it.
Yeah,
Commando
come on,
right
dude.
now.
All right. Well, it is.
Yeah,
it
he's
is
not even
actually-
wearing pants, so.
You know what?
No.
Next time I'm on the WAN show, I'm just gonna sit there and
Like
eat pizza
ultra.
the whole time and like randomly make trips to the fridge. It's gonna be awesome.
Hey Jerry, I saw you mention in
Man,
chat
design
that you
would
like
make
sriracha sauce.
I love sriracha.
You know the plant is here in Southern California here,
This is my bench.
and they actually almost got shut
Yeah.
down
I heard about that.
Okay.
because
Yeah.
the community that
What
built
do you mean randomly become my
after
bench?
the plant was already there
This is
around
the,
it was complaining about the smell of all the chilies.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was because of the smell. I thought that there was like something else wrong with it, like it was
No.
banned in Southern California.
No, they complained of the people who set up housing complexes around the factory, which was already there for like 20 years, complained about the smell.
That's great.
So Sriracha actually invested some amount of millions of dollars in a filtration system so that no smell is.
Hey, Luke, can you
Yeah.
nod your head? Nod your head. All right, spank Linus. Do it right now. Spank him. Come on, do it. Just get a big old swat. Just use a book. Oh shit!
Use a
slip-
book?
Oh god, yeah. Grab a. You probably don't have a book. Okay,
I
use
don't have a book.
use a mouse.
would I have
Swing
a
it
book?
like a mace. Just swing it like a mace.
A mouse. My mouse is plugged in.
Like a whip.
Okay, unplug his mic. Unplug his mic. Hurry up. Get it. Oh god, he's running away. Real quick. Now he has mic on. Unplug it.
One he would notice.
Okay.
I just stole
I tried.
all of your 980s.
I'm okay with that.
That's good.
Oh, this is a better
That
love
actually
story than
slips
Twilight.
That's true.
They're like
Well,
a married couple.
We've got. I know, seriously, right? Like in the first year of marriage too. Not that
We
like
pretty much
teenage
are.
stuff.
Joshua Jeffrey says, Jay, how much would you sell Skunkworks for? I don't know. I'll give you however much it costs to build. I think with the monitors, I think it was like $8,400.
I'll buy it for what you got into it.
I bet you would, sir.
I need a new computer so bad. Come on, Digital Storm. Just give it to
See,
me.
that's
Just give it to
that's
me,
where
guys.
I'm disappointed in you, Jerry. You should be building it.
I know, but I've got things to do and stuff.
Like build it.
Yeah, I guess.
Think of the
Fine.
content.
Fine. If Digital Storm doesn't send me a PC in the next 2 months, I'll just build one.
Just do the whole build at 120% video speed. I mean, it'll
Or
be like
Joe to
Like,
Digital
opposite of
Storm.
You like I'm not going to be able to compete with you on build quality because your builds are just amazing balls. What if I go the other direction? It's like I jerry rig it and like I use garden hose and
You
zip
already
ties
have that.
and-
I used the mud flap of my old car inside my computer.
What,
but
like a
Jerry,
sound
just
dampening
go
material?
to no as a kind of. It's the mounting plate for my pump so that it doesn't
yeah.
because it's a rubber, right?
What? A water pump from a car.
No,
motor on it.
No,
and
he
use
said a mud flap. Are
Yeah.
you serious? Oh yeah, and you just hook it up to a power drill and spin it that
like,
way.
Like put it on a board, like on top of the case, have like a board, mount it, like jerry rig it mounted so I have an electric
Luke.
motor turning the car's water pump, and
Luke.
then have that on my loop with
Yeah.
like guard.
This is why I have never collaborated with Jerry on any PC content.
Okay, Jerry, you should just go to Digital Storm and meet with like their builders, and then do a video of them building a computer, and then you receive it.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna steal
There
your
you
idea.
go. Because then you still get the video content of building the computer. You are apparently too lazy to build the computer on your own, so that's
I am,
fine.
right.
You can have them build it,
Just
and then you
now.
get a Digital Storm computer.
All right, so Digital Storm, because I know you're watching this, because you guys are stalkers. I know you are. That's what we need to do. I need to come up there and do a video of you guys building my awesome sauce computer, and I want something special on it too. I want it like signed by somebody. Yeah,
Signed. This was Luke's idea. Digital Storm.
I'm okay with that actually.
There you go.
I'm completely okay with that.
Luke,
hey, we got
Luke.
a question for Luke actually. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, Luke, do you want to make somebody's day today?
What?
Say hi, Jack Martin, so he will shut up in the chat already.
Hi, Jack Martin.
Thank you.
Shut
All
up
right,
in the
Jerry.
chat already.
Hi, everybody that wanted me to shout their name out. See, I got them all with a one hit right there.
Wow.
Hi,
That
All
was,
right,
audience.
this is a question I even want to hear. So Celtic Fox said, "This is to Luke. How's the office water cooling going? I want to know about
Pretty well.
this. Like,
I wish I could just pick up the camera and show you guys, but it's kind of tethered to the computer, and the computer's a desktop, so no. But
just give us the 10
Edsel
second.
decided to just randomly take off for vacation for 2 weeks, so the video for that got massively delayed, and we have no idea when it's going to be released, because when he comes back, he's probably going to have to do something else. I don't
Are you
know.
guys doing that in sort of like a build log style, or are you just going to show the finished product?
It's done. It's
Okay.
been done for a long time, actually.
Let me ask you this: did it
Oh,
work?
really?
Is that room nice and cool now?
I would say it's nice and cool because it's now raining out and it's no longer summer.
Well, yeah, but that much hardware, even in a room that
But the
size, with it being
copper
cold
piping.
outside.
Yeah, but the copper piping is
Yeah.
what.
Why didn't you guys
it's dumping
insulate it?
heat into the room?
Yeah, that's true because the copper itself is dissipating.
We
You guys should
could,
just
but
insulate it.
honestly, it wouldn't have like. A large amount of heat in that room was the fact that it was already hot, and how the house is facing, the sun is coming directly onto the side of that room.
So the house
And
faces
there's a
west,
large-
right?
The house faces west. Well, it's in the back.
That room faces west.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's a lot of body heat because there's like 5 or 6 dudes in there at a time. And so that combination is what's really making the room hot, because all the rooms in the house are hot. And then the computers just kind of threw it over the edge. So now they're slightly removing that, but the real solution would be to actually get air conditioning. It was just a really cool project. And it is a really cool project. We just hired a new film editing guy, and when he showed up, we just grabbed one of the spare rigs that we built, hooked it into the loop, and he was good to go instantly.
How much
So-
heat's coming off that rad outside, though? I mean, is there some efficiency there? I mean, do you feel a
We
lot of
haven't
heat coming off
measured.
the thing?
It's actually hard to like access that rad, so we can't just
okay.
like, because it's on like a little bit of a subroof. Because hanging it off the fascia boards, Linus eventually realized wouldn't be that great of an idea. I tried to tell him early on, but either way, yeah. So it is working. We haven't done load temps is odd because you would have to do load temps of every single computer at the same
Yeah.
time. And a lot of time we have at least one person working, which isn't full load. It's just a fairly high load. So we haven't done a proper full load test yet. We'll probably get numbers for that eventually. But usually every single computer in the room, when they're at least idling or not doing a ton, are running at whatever temperature it is outside.
Oh, so the ambient temp's really good for that.
Yeah.
So, but I have to wonder though, and I wondered this when I first saw the project. If there's some sort of failure, doesn't that technically bring all your systems down while you fix that issue?
There isn't very many issues that would be that difficult to fix.
Well, I mean, how many
But
pumps
also,
do
no.
you have pushing that?
We have a little giant right next to the large reservoir, and then each computer has its own D5.
I see. Okay.
So there's not that many points of failure that would actually take down the whole loop. And if it becomes a big problem, something that I came up with was there's a rad on top of each one of the cases that is not being used. So there's a reservoir inside the system along with the D5 and all the blocks. So if there's a problem with the full loop and we can't use that anymore, you just take the quick disconnects off the room loop and shove
hook
the
up to
quick
that.
disconnects up into the rad on the top, and you have an isolated system.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it's I guess it's that time to sign off. Luke, thanks a bunch for coming on the show. I know you're busy.
worries.
Linus works you like a slave.
Yeah, I gotta go keep filming right after this.
All right. Anything you want to plug or shout out before you get out of here?
My Twitter's at Luke_LAFR. I'm pretty sure you guys probably know the YouTube channel, considering it's like in the title of this video, LinusTechTips. So come check us out. Go watch the Ultimate Keycap Replacement Guide once we launch it, whenever that is. I'll probably be in Germany, but go watch that and let me know what you guys think, because this is the first time I've done an Ultimate Guide, and this is the first time I've done a video anywhere near this length. I'm on shot, I think right now I'm on shot 30.
Wow.
And that's not takes, that's like what actual shot we're on, and that's not including any of the B-roll or anything like that. So this is a huge video, so let me know what you guys think about that.
I feel bad for whoever's editing that one.
Oh yeah, not me. Horrible. Terrible.
I couldn't do it. Well, Luke,
right.
we love you long time, buddy. We'll have you on anytime you want. Just let us know. It's always good having you.
And in 2 months in CES, you better say hi. Don't be a stranger.
I will if you guys. Yeah, we run around pretty hardcore at CES.
I know. Like in January, actually, you and I were filming back to back at each other at the AMD booth, and we didn't even get to say hi. It was just like off we go. And I think Logan had walked in then too.
Yeah.
I'm still working on getting that endorsed license so I can come up to Canada and see you guys. So
there you go.
we'll have to work that out sometime in the future when a good time is, and I'll come up there and hang out for a little bit. It'll be cool.
Hide your video cards when he's there. They're way too accessible.
Yeah, I might like put them in my pants and sneak them out.
But we
right,
don't really do anything in this office other than benchmark. So Jerry would probably be in the.
I assume you're sitting opposite of the normal corner everybody's used to seeing you in.
Yes, actually. So this what I'm facing right now, like right here, is the benchmarking system that everyone normally sees, and right here is the kind of system in the corner that you sometimes.
So you guys can see they do the same thing Jerry and I do. You just clean up the part that shows in the camera, and then it's a shitstorm everywhere else where it's not seen.
This part is out of frame, and it's just horrible. But
I can't help but notice there's a roll of toilet paper sitting in the background too.
That's for cleaning Tim. But yeah,
Who's Tim, Luke?
Yeah, who's Tim? Why does he need cleaning?
Well, there's also oh wow, I just got that. I always just think thermal interface material. I never realized that that's also a name. That's why there's this stuff hanging around all over the place as well. And like there's the like no, that's down. That's at my place. That's why like these are all over the place.
Jergens?
Little rags, but with like you can see the Tim on them. Because it's all gray.
Oh my god.
Family show, Luke. Family show.
Family show, man.
Oh,
All right, guys. It's time to get on out of here. Thanks, Luke, for coming on. We'll definitely do it again in the future.
Yep.
Sing us out, Luke. Sing us out.
All right, guys. We're going to roll that outro.
Canada, we stand on guard for I'm done with this song. I'm not singing anymore. And I am now done. No.
Boots and cats and boots and cats and